Salutations, everybody. This is Ra, and here's a better late than ever review of WWE 2K16. I'll try to make it as succinct as possible. Like I said, I already have the pros and cons here, and we're going to start off with the pros, of course. Now, um, one thing I liked about the game was that they put great attention to detail to how Shawn Michaels from WrestleMania 14 looked. Now, he was also in WWE 13 because they had the whole Attitude Era in WWE 13, whereas this game was focused on just Stone Cold Steve Austin's story arc. In WWE 13, Shawn Michaels had one attire, and when it came to his matches, they just pretty much changed the colors accordingly. Whereas here, they actually have his actual attire with the DX logos they had on at WrestleMania 14, boots and everything. And not only that, but they had his hair braided like he had at WrestleMania 14, whereas WWE 13 just had him one hair color, one hairstyle the entire game. So great attention to details there, except for in that match, they have an NPC that looks, they didn't even try to put forth any effort to make it look like Mike Tyson. I don't know if it was supposed to look like Mike now or what, or I don't know what the problem was with, because in this game they had pretty much every character that was DLC in WWE 2K15 was readily available in this game. And I thought that was also pretty cool. So I don't know what they had to do to, I don't know if the negotiations fell through to get Mike Tyson to be in this game too, or maybe it was because he already signed to be in UFC too. But yeah, that was the only thing I didn't like about that WrestleMania 14, just since we brought it up. But continuing with the pros, I love the authenticity put into the newest superstars moves. Hideo Itami's at GTS, Kevin Owens' Papa Powerbomb, and Finn Balor's Coup de Grace. All great representation, great visual representations of how they are performed in real life, especially the Coup de Grace. I love that move. I like how you're able to now use a strong strike as a signature and a finisher in the game. So like if you have like the Usos last year's game, the last installment of the game 2K15, the Usos had a new super kick in the game, and it was only a strong strike. But in this game, you can make it a signature and even a finisher. So I think that's pretty cool. Also regarding the strong strikes, I like how they separated all the strike moves from the grapples. In previous games, if you had a super kick, it could be your strong grapple or it could be your medium grapple. Whereas in this game, you have like the running drop kick, or you have like the low kick to the gut, which is called the soul kick in this game, or any of the super kicks. They're separated now. So you have your strikes and your grapples. And I just thought that was cool. I thought that was very cool how they separated them. Lots of cool new finishers from not only the new characters, but original characters. And even the DLC characters have a lot of new moves to offer in the game. The new DLC pack introduced us and brought into the game Nakamura's Bama Ye knee. It has, I think, Jack Evans' 630 splash. It has Ricochet's kind of like a GTS, but he falls on his back and kicks him in the head. It even has from Lucha Underground, Pentagon Jr.'s arm breaker attack that he does on characters, on other superstars. But then you have like new moves from the original characters too, like Dolph Ziggler's Zigzag. He has a new Zigzag in the game. It looks probably the best he's ever had since he's done the move. A lot of new super kicks, one for Tyler Breeze, one for Kevin Owens, one from Luke Harper. And then, a lot of the like characters from Stone Cold story arc, like Savio Vega, has a cool spinning heel kick from the corner that I end up giving to Tyler Breeze because, one of the cons I'll speak on later, but I'm going to speak on in brevity here about it, is that they renamed a lot of moves and labeled them as new. Tyler Breeze has like Edge's spinning heel kick that's been in the game since SmackDown vs. Raw 2010, and they renamed it the Beauty Shot. and I didn't like it, so I ended up giving him like the jumping spinning heel kick, and as a secondary finisher, I gave him Savio Vega's Caribbean kick as a corner finisher. They need to make that move just a straight up standing finisher because it looks so much it's so beautiful. They can make it as a running spinning heel kick or a just a standing front finisher. Um, so you got moves like that. You got a new Dominator from Farouk. You got D'Lo Brown has a good low down or sky high actually. I ended up giving Titus O'Neil that move. So a lot of new moves overall from like characters in the game. DLC characters and legends like Rick Rude's Rude Awakening is just the best it's ever looked since he's ever been a downloadable content character in the game. It's just so perfect. Jake the Snake's DDT is perfect. Um, it's just a lot of new moves. Dustin Rhodes running Bulldog in the corner is just beautiful. So I just love all the new moves that they brought in this game. I can't wait for next year's game because if you look at the roster and just look at all the roster and everybody's on it right now. Apollo Crews, Nakamura is going to be on the roster. AJ Styles is on the roster. And you notice how when it's the first year the character's been in the game, they just have a lot of their moves when they're on the indies because they haven't really had a chance to do a lot of new moves. In the WWE, it's just going to be insane the amount of moves that's going to be in next year or this year's game, 2K17. So let's move on from moves. They got a new curb stomp. Okay, I'm done. The online is a lot better. Gives you a little bit more liberty this time around. I don't know whose idea it was to make it where if you wanted to pick a character, you had to pick a lineup, a top five, and those top five characters, you would pick between those. You have to have like a fave five and pick one of the five characters. This game, they didn't do that. They brought it back the way it should have always been, which if I want to play online with somebody, I get to pick whoever I want. Plain and simple. Now, if I'm picking a regular match online, fair fight, I have to pick my character as is. No edited moves, no created characters, none of that. Then you have like the other mode where I think it's just WWE Live, and you could pick DOC, you could pick created characters, you could pick edited characters with edited attires, everything. It's just liberty. So I like how we have the liberty that we should have had in WWE 2K15 return in this installment of the game. Speaking of online, I also love how this is something that was very reminiscent of a mode that they should have kept in the game. But it was introduced in WWE SmackDown vs. Raw 2010, where you could practice. In the background, you have like practice mode pretty much. You could move the menu over, and in the background, you could practice in the ring in a custom arena, like a straight up custom SmackDown vs. Raw arena against a character that you want to pick. You could pick your character and pick who you want to fight against. And I think it was even as much as you could choose what position they're in the ring, you know what I mean? So you could practice a certain maneuver if you want to practice on your top rope moves. You want them to be outside, so you could practice on your outside dives. I thought that was pretty cool in SmackDown vs. Raw 2010. It kind of brought back a similar concept here for online, where before the match starts, you can actually practice before the match starts, albeit the character is moving. He's going to be fighting you back. I don't know if in SmackDown vs. Raw 2010 you can fight the character, choose if the character fought back or not. It just reminded me so much of like Tekken and Street Fighter when you would practice, and if you wanted to have an opponent give you their best fight, so you could be ready for the best fight that your actual opponent's going to give you online will give you. You'd be ready for it. But the only thing I didn't like about it is that you couldn't pick who you want to fight against. So if you were about to it's just totally random. So if you had somebody small, like you play online with Callisto or somebody, they only gave you 5 characters. Mark Henry, I guess so he could represent each character, so you could get used to like the way that they fought. So you have a big character in Mark Henry, you have a medium character in like Kevin Owens or somebody like that, and then you have a light heavyweight character in like Seth Rollins or somebody. or Daniel Bryan. So I guess they picked one character to represent each weight class, but you couldn't pick who you was fighting against. So it sucked, and when you were fighting online and you were playing fair fight, somebody picks John Cena or somebody like that, but you couldn't prepare for John Cena because you were fighting against Mark Henry in the practice mode before the match started. So I just think that's something they could do in the next game, like actually choose who you fight against in practice mode before your online match starts. Next we have well, I don't know what I have here. Rollins is in the game because I don't know. Return to the creation modes. We had a paucity of creation modes in 2K15. It was very limited. You were very restricted to the attires you could pick in the games. You were only restricted and limited to the attires of the default characters in the game. So the default boots of characters that were already in the game. This year, every downloadable content, you were able to pick their attires and then some. They brought back created championship mode for us, created arena, created a show. The only thing about created arena that I didn't like was that you were only able to use those created arenas in universe mode. I'll get to that later with the cons about universe mode and exhibition mode. But nonetheless, they brought back all except for create a finisher, which when it came down to if you were trying to create an authentic finisher, they may as well just put the finishers in the game anyway, because they looked a lot better and crisp. It's like, okay, create the move for us. Just put the move in the game. But all the creation modes made a return. So create arena, create a show, create a championship, create a Diva was back, which was a glaring omission from 2K15. So those are welcome back pretty well, I would say. We also have return of several matches, handicap matches, ladder matches, 6-man ladder matches are back. Tornado tag team matches are in the game. 2K15 is pretty bare bones. Like I said in my return video last week, I was going to skip over 2K15 because it's pretty much like a beta version of 2K16. So a lot of things that weren't in 2K15 made their way back in 2K16. Albeit there were still a few matches that we've had in previous games, like 2K14, WWE 13, that still didn't make their return in 2K16. But we still got decent return of matches like the set tornado tag team matches and tag team elimination matches. The way that they have it where you upload images is so cool. I utilized it several times. I utilized it several times. I would look for shirt designs and upload them. So I think that was pretty cool. Especially if you want to try to create your own unique wrestler. It's just so cool to upload like something you found on Google, upload it and create, your own original wrestler. It's an awesome feature. It should have been a game years ago. So that leads to greater creations. People created so many accurate representations of CM Punk and Alberto Del Rio because this feature allowed them to look up, images and upload them to the game. So it adds so much to the game, and I can't wait to see how much it evolves in the next installments. The reversal system is actually very fair. How they limit how many reversers you can have, it's pretty fair. You can take reversers off, so that's kind of cool too. I like how it's not mandatory that you have to play by this rule. So that option to turn off reversals and have it like it's been in previous games where there's just no limit on how many times you reverse. It's pretty cool, but I like how, okay, I know I got his ass right now. He doesn't have any reversals. I could be an opportunist or I could let him recover. But I think it's pretty fair, a fair system, and a nice addition to the game. Triple H from 2001. This is going to be kind of very ambivalent. The attires are on point from 2000. Triple H 2001 attires are on point. But once again, the hair is incorrect. On Triple H circa 2000 feuding with Stone Cold Steve Austin, their No Way Out match where they had 3 stages of hell. They keep giving him the slick back hair. Like his hair was like covering his face back then. I don't know why they keep giving him the slick back hair, but the attire is on point. The knee pad, the boot size, and length. It's on point. So I give him points for effort on that. And I also like how the attributes and skills have been added to the move sets. So when you're like editing, one of the main things I like to do when I first get the game is edit the moves. A lot of wrestlers I didn't have to do that with in the game, like especially like a lot of the newer superstars, like from NXT. I didn't have to edit their move sets that much. Like I may have had to edit maybe 1 or 2 moves. Like for Hideo Itami, they gave him kind of like a key crusher instead of a fisherman's buster, but that's about it that I had to change for him. So the move sets aren't that bad. I just love how they added attributes and skills to the move set and create a move set. So you don't have to go and edit the move sets in WWE, my WWE. It's all at once. So it's kind of cool. Now, on to the cons. You may hear a lot of ambivalent things here. This is going long. The cons here are starting with John Cena. John Cena is like God in this game. I've played against people online, and they've chosen John Cena, and he is invincible. I remember the last time I was going against John Cena, going against someone who picked John Cena, and I may have had Hideo Itami. Now, it can be said that it's because I picked Hideo Itami. His overall is at 86, whereas John Cena is on 96. But I may have done maybe 9 GTSs, and he kicked out all of them at 2. Now, I don't know how true to life they were trying to be with John Cena here, but it just sucks. He's like God in the game. He could kick out of anything. He and Terminator are like the strongest characters in the game. He, Terminator, and Stone Cold Steve Austin. But more to a greater extent, Terminator and John Cena. And John Cena is just, he could kick out of anything. So that kind of sucks. Like I said, a lot of the moves, just to name a few, have just been renamed and have a new label next to them. Like the Lucha DDT is correctly titled the Tornado DDT in this game. Ambrose's stretch is correctly titled the Regal stretch. There's also a lot of new moves that are in the game that are just labeled as new, but they're just reanimated. So that's kind of like a weird way around getting new moves in the game when they're just moves that have always been in the game. They're just reanimated. William Regal's hair is still messed up, which I don't know how they let that bypass them, because for the second game in a row, they've had 2 William Regals in the game. They have Lord Steven Regal and they have current William Regal, and yet Lord Steven Regal has the correct hair scheme, and current William Regal has jet black hair again. So they just neglected it again. So maybe next year's game, you have blonde hair. So there is hope, I suppose. I don't know. There were a lot of inconsistencies. For example, Ric Flair. Now, there's 2 Ric Flairs in the game. There's DLC Ric Flair, and then they have Ric Flair from Evolution days. And the Evolution days, Ric Flair has 1992 Ric Flair's thing. So that's an inconsistency. But then there's another one with Paul White. Now, Paul White is the Big Show. We all know this now. And they have him in the game to go along with Stone Cold Steve Austin's story arc. But yet, for him, they have the Giant. They have his render from when he was in the Giant in WCW. They have his taunts for current Big Show. And they have the finishers right, at least. But then they have a Titantron that's pretty much an amalgamation of all 3 Big Shows, from Big Show from 1999 to Big Show in 2004, because there's a scene of him chokeslamming Brock Lesnar. Yet this is a Big Show model representing 1999, and they have the theme correct from like when he first started having matches, which is the same thing Luke Gallows had from SmackDown vs. Raw 2011. So it's just like, okay, we're just like making characters represent all, like an amalgamation of all eras. And then you have Mark Henry in the game from 1998, but he has the entrance of Mark Henry today. And I mean, attire wise, I don't understand why they couldn't give him his national domination attire that they had him have in WWE 2K13 or WWE 13. Yet they had him in the game in WWE 13 as Nation of Domination with the Nation of Domination thing, but they didn't have the entire nation in that game. This game they do, from Kama Mustafa to D'Lo Brown to Farouk to even The Rock having his nation attire, but Mark Henry just has a black singlet with red boots when he first joined the nation. So I don't see why they couldn't give him his actual nation attire in the game. Emma's probably the most egregious example of, like, we're gonna give, like, she has her heel theme, but she still has like the entrance when she was a face and her face look and her face attire. So that's just probably the most outstanding, stick out like a sore thumb, like just negligence of like how a character is today versus what they have now or back then. Let's continue here. One thing that's always irked me is when they have like a stable in the game and they'll have like the same theme, but they'll separate three different themes. For example, New Day. Why not just have one theme and just have it New Day? But they have Big E, Kofi Kingston, and Xavier Woods as three separate themes, but it's all the same thing. So it's 3 for 1 instead of 1 for all. That's always like irked me. Like, they have like all the old attires from, for the characters that in the previous game. Kind of like SmackDown 2. You have like characters who didn't make it in SmackDown 2, but they have the attires for the characters, so you can recreate them for SmackDown 2. So they have like Big E's attire from WWE 2K15, Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston. Well, if you're going to have three separate themes from them, why not have those themes from last year's game? Big E's I Need 5, Xavier Woods having the Funkadactyls, aka Brodus Clay's theme, and Kofi Kingston having his SOS theme. But no, they have it three separate themes, and it's all the same thing. So that's just one thing that, they kind of sort of have attention to details here, and then, it's like one person saw attention to details with this character or this mode, and then the other person just said, I'm going to represent the side of not having attention to detail. So Emma's going to have her heel thing with her face entrance and face look. William Reeves is going to still have jet black hair. Mark Henry's going to have his entrance from today, even though it's Mark Henry from 1999 with the Nation. And even Kane. Like, Kane is like, they have Kane from 2001 and Kane from 2000, or now, 2000 now. And not even Kane from 2000 now, corporate Kane. But, even something like that is attention to details. Like, Kane, when he used to come out back then, he would be facing the announcer's table, section 9, doing the flame cue. Sometimes he would even do it on an apron, which I'll go to about an entrance later too. Whereas today he's facing the hard camera, he does it. They didn't even notice that. Speaking of entrances, they have Undertaker and Kane in the game, but they didn't give them their correct entrance. Like back then, when the Brothers of Destruction came out back in 2001, when they were feuding against the two-man power trip known as Triple H and Stone Cold Steve Austin, when Kane would come out, he would do his flame cube on the apron, turn around, and they got the entrance on SmackDown Just Bring It. He would turn around, and Undertaker would come out on his bike, and they would both get in the ring to do their turns. But they didn't have that entrance in the game, which kind of sucked balls. Could have had it in the game. Another thing that annoyed me, I brought up in my pros part, was universe mode. Um, Exclusive match types. Now this is kind of ambivalent, I suppose, because you gotta have a real reason to play universe mode. Universe mode in of itself is unique enough where they didn't have to have matches exclusive to universe mode. Um, and you couldn't play them in exhibition mode. Like you could play a 6-man title match, a 6-man ladder match in universe mode, which is like a Money in the Bank ladder match. Instead of having the briefcase up, you could have the title and something lined up, but you can only do it in universe mode. You know, that should have been a mode that we were able to do outside of that. And it's also like exclusive like tornado tag team matches in universe mode that we couldn't do out of universe mode and exhibition mode too. So that kind of, I feel some kind of way about that. Um, they Here's another one. If you're gonna be tacky with the game, an old superstars being in the game, don't put them in. That's how I felt. They lied about multiples. There were, as we saw, there were multiple Stone Cold Steve Austins. There were 2 Ric Flairs. There were 3 Triple H's. There were 2 Mark Henrys, 2 Chris Jerichos, 2 Kanes, 3 Undertakers. So let's just they lie about multiples. Now, what they should have done was follow the Brian Pillman paradigm. And I say that because of this. You got Brian Pillman in the game, and Brian Pillman, loose cannon Brian Pillman from 1997, was far different than flying Brian Pillman in WCW. Yet, what they did was when you pick Brian Pillman, they had the 2 attires. They had flying Brian Pillman and they had loose cannon. When you pick loose cannon, it has a different entrance, a different look, different Titantron. And I also noticed that when you pick Brian Pillman, loose cannon, they don't have his finishing like animation from WWE 13. They should have kept that in. When you pick flying Brian Pillman, he has a different entrance, different look, different Titantron, different music too. They should have did that with every character that was in the game. When you pick Chris Jericho 2002, have it where you have Chris Jericho 2002, Chris Jericho Modern, and have a different entrance and attire and music for each one. So it's like, here's the character, and when you pick it, brackets. This Jericho, that Jericho. Different entrance, different entrance. Different music, different music. Different look, different look. But it's like, that irked me how they actually had the model they could went by in the game and still went ahead and had multiples. It irked me a lot. When editing move sets and entrances, this is to go along with what I just said, the aforementioned how they had the Brian Pillman model. I thought that they should have had it where if you pick an entrance, let's say you pick Triple H from 2001. And when you pick Triple H from 2001, they already have a program that if you pick Triple H in his DX attire, he's going to have his DX entrance. If you pick him in his 2001 attire, he's going to have his game entrance where he does the, spit water thing. But I thought it would have been cool if you could actually, when you pick, when you go create an entrance, you can actually pick which attire Triple H you're editing. So if you want the Triple H from DX attire to have the game entrance, you can do that. If you want the Triple H from, because it's all the same character. If you want the Triple H game to have the DX entrance, you could change that. If you're creating a move set and you pick Flying Brian Pillman, or you pick Brian Pillman, you can select if you're trying to change a moveset, Loose Cannon or Flying Brian. If you pick The Rock, you could choose if you're changing the moveset from Nation to Domination, albeit The Rock's moves never really changed that much. You could choose if you were changing the Nation to Domination, The Rock moveset, or current Rock's moveset, or Rock 2001's moveset. So I just thought they could have done something like that. The Rock from 2003, which is represented by choosing The Rock from 1999. His entrance is still incorrect. They haven't gotten an entrance correct since Here Comes the Pain. because he was in WWE 2K14 too, because they have the match obviously between Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock from WrestleMania 19. But the entrance is still wrong. This is Hollywood Rock, and his entrance is different from any other era Rock, and they still got it wrong. They just there's only two entrances for The Rock in the game, and that's current Rock and Rock from 1999. So it's just weird because we know that Rock from 1999 came out, he slow brooding Rock, and he'd do like that on a turnbuckle. 2000 Rock, he'd have his arm up like that. 2003 Rock had the interlude for the Hollywood thing, and as soon as it says it's cooking, that's when he'd come out. But they didn't get it correct in the game, and it's kind of, ugh. I mean, this is the same game where when you have Wade Barrett and he's about to do a bullhammer, you can actually see the red elbow pad, and if you stop him while he's doing a bullhammer or you reverse it, that whole match you have the red elbow pad exposed. So they have attention to detail there, but yet when you pick The Rock from 2003's entrance, it's like The Rock from 1999. So it just doesn't make sense how they did this, but didn't do that. A lot of moves that they deleted and they could have kept in, like for example, the example I give you is the Sambo Suplex. Now, the Sambo Suplex is a move that Diamond Dallas Page uses. It's kind of like a spinning rock bottom. They have them on the side here. It's a Uranagi, but they spin. I know DDP does it. Bray Wyatt back in his Husky Harris days used to do it. And more recently, Mil Muertes from Lucha Underground does it. Albeit he does it kind of like a choke slam. He has his hand around the opponent's neck when he does it, not his bicep over their neck, doing it kind of like a rock bottom. But rather than have the previous version in the game, they made it look more kind of like a front teardrop suplex. And this is the perfect time because what they done is just they have like a move, like say for example they had a suplex in the game. They would just have suplex 2. Well, 1 and 3 aren't in the game. Why not just name it suplex or superplex? Why name it superplex 2 when you could just have it's the superplex if it's the only one in the game? Well, with the Sambo Suplex here, they could have had the original that they replaced this one with and the new one and call it Sambo Suplex 2, but they didn't do that. So that's just something that irked me. There's no CM Punk entrance. There's no RVD. Obviously, no Hulk Hogan. And a lot can happen in, 11 years, because when in 2004 they brought out SmackDown vs. Raw, Brock Lesnar was gone by the time they brought out the game. And even when they were producing the game, Brock Lesnar was already gone. But yet they have Brock Lesnar's entrance in the game. So it's just a little weird that they didn't have CM Punk or RVD's entrance still in the game. But they had everyone else's. Terrible, superstars who had terrible face sculpts in last year's game, or last WWE game, were not fixed in this game. A la, example given, Bray Wyatt's face doesn't look corrected, and I'll say Naomi, for example, is probably one that stuck out to me mostly. She looks like she could be Ashley Larry's sister in this game. So it's like, the body sculpts of Divas are a lot better, for some of them, but Naomi's face looks like, it just doesn't look like her. Her lips are like white, like ashy. They didn't put for a lot of effort in making the Divas faces look better. Like Nikki Bella and Brie Bella's faces are still just off. And there wasn't adequate effort for the retro superstars either. There's too many wrestlers who have younger versions of themselves in the game, like William Regal, Hunter S. Helmsley, Undertaker. And it just there wasn't a lot of effort to make them look more so like they did back then. So like Chris Jericho from like 2002 has his face for now and his body sculpt for now. Triple H from Hunter S. Helmsley still has like the ripped body sculpt of like Triple H now. It doesn't look right in the face of Triple H now. The Rock from 1999 has his face and body sculpt from today. It doesn't look right. Um, like you got the attire and the hair of Rock from 1999. It just pretty much looks like The Rock now. It just looks like The Rock put on his attire from a decade almost ago, almost 15, 16 years ago today. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't look right. It's like Triple H now put on his attire from 1995. Um, Undertaker is probably the most egregious example. And the thing is about Undertaker is that for Undertaker 98, 99, all his attires were perfect. The hairs were perfect. Like, he was also in WWE 13. It's just like they gave him like the hair from like SmackDown vs. Raw 2007. They stuck with it for years. That same hairstyle, slick back. You know what I mean? But this game, they actually has his hair looking like he did in 1998 and 1999. And the facial hair too. But he has the face of Undertaker 54 years old. It doesn't look right having the face of Undertaker at 54 years old when he was 34 back then. It just doesn't look right. One thing that's also kind of have here that annoyed me, I think they've been doing it since probably SmackDown vs. Raw, WWE 12, is that they've limited how many items you could download from creative community creations. It's only 20 characters, 20 anything, 20 download, 20 community creations. So it could be an arena, a move set, a story, a logo, a superstar. You're only allowed to download 20 within 24 hours, and they literally mean 24 hours. So if you downloaded all 20 at 11 p.m., once 12 o'clock came, 12 a.m. the next day came, it wasn't counted that way. It's literally a reflection. So if you download all your 20 at 11:36 p.m., you're not able to download anymore until 11:36 p.m. the next day, which sucks. And just limitations to games and in general suck. You know, it irked me a lot with Grand Theft Auto 5 how they had cheat codes in the game, and they have an invisibility code, but you're only allowed 5 minutes to have invisibility. Like, what's the point of even putting it in the game? If you're literally going to limit when I can use the codes, because they did that too in GTA 5. But not only that, but limit how long I can use this code. It's just stupid. It's stupid. And it's stupid here in WWE 2K16 how you're allowed only 20 creations a day. You know what I mean? It's dumb. And last but not least, I have here in the cons section is that moves that were previously available as grapples and Irish Whip rebounds are simply just Irish Whip rebound moves. Now, this I'm a little ambivalent about because, they have it where you could do like running grapples or running rear moves that do not look sensical in a position of as a running grapple. Like running behind somebody and doing the Ambrose like hook and ladder doesn't look right, but yet you can do it. But then they had the wheelbarrow suplex, which you could do from a standing position, as now it's just limited to as an Irish Whip rebound move, which, like I said, I'm ambivalent towards it because it doesn't look right as a standing position move anyway. It looks more accurate as a Irish Whip rebound move. So that I'm ambivalent about. Now I have some other liner notes here, and I'll speak briefly on these. That'll be the end of this very lengthy review. And I can guarantee that WWE 2K17's review will not be 40 minutes going on. Favorite match in the game to play was tag team matches and tag team elimination matches. My favorite characters to pick in those matches were Hideo Itami and Finn Balor and Dustin Rhodes, the DLC character Dustin Rhodes, Macho Man and Dustin Rhodes, or Macho Man and Hideo Itami. What was missing in the game that should have been in the game, which at this rate, it's a foregone conclusion of all of us, is the four horsewomen: Sasha Banks, Bayley, Charlotte, and Becky Lynch. They very well should have been in this game. In fact, they should have taken the place of probably the Los Matadores, who nobody cared about if they were in the game or not. They have not been on the active roster in quite some time now. So you could have added at least two of the four horsewomen in their spot, but they were not in the game. They were glaring omissions and should have been in the game. And the replay value of the game, I mean, I play it a few times a week just for Universe Mode and the tag team matches, because when I play with Hideo Itami, I do the hesitation drop kick and then I pick him up for the GTS, and I win so many matches playing with Hideo Itami. Him and Enzo Amore are actually my favorite characters to play with, because I kick ass with those two online. But Hideo Itami, I do the GTS and it puts him in perfect position. If I'm tagging with Finn Balor, to do the coup de grace, or if I'm playing with Macho Man, to do this Macho Man elbow. But then if I'm picking Dustin Rhodes, I can send him to the opposite corner and do the running bulldog finisher. And for some odd reason, they land, spike their head diagonally, which gets me the perfect position for a diving finisher. So if I pick like Adrian, well, not Adrian Neville, but Neville to do the blue, the red arrow, I have him in perfect position from the finisher I just used with Dustin Rhodes or Hideo Itami. So for me, it does have replay value because I just love doing that over and over again, and fluctuating between those characters I said I used. So it's good replay value. The Universe Mode is what's the go-to. This is after you beat the main showcase mode with Stone Cold Steve Austin and the Hall of Fame Showcase DLC. I ain't mad at having the Harlem Heat in the game because, the Flapjack is a cool addition to the game. I'm not a fan when they bring back characters that we've already had in the game, like the Bushwhackers. Let's get somebody new for once. Like the Steiner brothers, we could have gotten them, but whatever. Because we had Scott Steiner in WWE 2K14, so I don't see what would have been the problem with getting him and Rick in the game. But what real WrestleMania matches they've had with the Steiner brothers to put in showcase mode? And you already had your legendary WCW tag team and the Harlem Heat that was in the game, and of course the Outsiders. Cool new moves. Entertainment is pretty good. Authenticity, there's a lot of new moves, like I said, that represent authentic versions. You got a new Razor's Edge with Scott Hall, and Rick Rude's Neck Breaker, his Rude Awakening, and Jake the Snake's DDT, like I said, are perfect. Even Mr. Perfect's in the game. He has a new Perfect Plex that just looks just authentic. And Dusty Rhodes, all the DLC characters' moves were perfect. Big Boss Man has a perfect Boss Man Slam. Dusty Rhodes has a perfect bionic elbow and elbow drop. So they did like a perfect job with like all the new edition characters, all the DLC characters' moves. And the entrances for like Finn Balor, all of the NXT characters' entrances are perfect too. And that's pretty much it. Overall, I think the game was a must buy for a casual WWE fan. Even for a new fan, it's just all the characters that they have in the game. It's like, how can you not want it? Because just all the legends in this game is just amazing. I mean, if Hulk Hogan didn't mess up, he would have just been a cherry on top. Because you could have the whole NWO in the game. Probably the first time, really, since 2K14. But you could have the whole NWO. And you could have made them go against Lex Luger, Sting, and Macho Man from WCW. You got WCW Ric Flair. I mean, you just all the legends in the game. For even a person that's not a fan of like the current games, I think it's a must buy. I think it's a must buy for anybody who's a fan. I definitely say skip over 2K15. Just go ahead and grab this game. If you're looking to have a current WWE game, it's a good one to have. And sorry, this review was 45 minutes long. Sorry it's late, but I had to give it to you because I said I was going to. Next week will be the first video of things that I think should be in the next WWE game. And anybody who watched this whole review, thank you. Stay tuned.